Okay, people, welcome back to another Playday. Oh, it's Playday. Well, one of a few Playdays. There's a pile of stuff. So today I'm only going to go through some of the Marvel customs I've done recently. Well, I say recently, over the past few months. I know it's been a while, but it seems like the colder it gets outside, the less likely I am to do any heavy customizing. Mostly because I go outside for spraying or dribbling or making a mess. I'd rather not do that in here. But I've finished stuff here and there. In fact, Playdays are weird sometimes. I want a certain amount of stuff in the video, but once I pass that imaginary amount, I'm like, oh, it's too much now. What am I going to do? I can't make a Playdate that long. So I'm splitting it up. I'm doing my Marvel stuff. I've got some Star Wars stuff. I've got things people have sent. There's going to be several Playdays throughout February and then March. Today's Marvel. Some of these customs I just put together. Some of them I ordered some kits. Some of them people sent parts and pieces. I will have the links in the description. And as we go along, I'll tell you who did what. So if you're interested in any of these parts, go give them a visit. Go give them a click, show them some love, and then go from there. First up, we're going to go with something store-bought. This is the Blokees Galaxy version Spider-Ham. Now, Blokees is doing that thing where they have different scales within the toy line, and it's kind of hard to differentiate sometimes. I think there's Galaxy scale, which is smaller. Then there's Champion scale, maybe, that is larger. And at first I thought, oh, maybe that's 1/12, but it's not. Looking at pictures from shows and stuff, they also mess up the scale within those different scales, and Spider-Ham just happens to be bigger within... Where's that sentence going? My whole point is just all over the place, just like Blokees scale. What I'm trying to say is this is about as close to an articulated Spider-Ham as we're going to get in 1/12 scale. I want to say this is the Marvel Legends Spider-Verse Spider-Ham, and yes, it's bigger, but this also skews more comic style. So while this will work with Legends Spider-Verse figures, if you disregard that other Spider-Ham, I feel like this is going to find its home over on my comic shelf. It may need a little bit more customizing. The web lines are sculpted in, but that's easy enough to just come along and Gundam marker in. What I was more concerned with is articulation. Well, okay, it's not the greatest. It's not double joints and everything else, but it moves. And that's what I was looking for when it came to Peter Porker. The head is on a ball joint that gets some range. Same for the arms, out and around and over. There is a hinge and swivel at the elbow. Ball joint at the wrist goes around. Ball at the hip, forward, back, and out. Better than a lot of Legend Spider-Mans. Single knee that does end up a bit blocky. Oh, I said the thing. And then a ball joint at the ankle for some back, some forward, rocker. It's not going to get super dynamic, but it's posable. And dang it, again, that makes me happy. Plus, it's comic styled. So, is the search over? Probably not. Somebody else will come out with a Spider-Ham and I'll be like, oh, I need another one. But this will do me for now. Here's the rest of the characters in the series. All interesting, but again, smaller scale. If these are relative to the Spider-Ham picture, then they are pretty short and stylized. You can see it's not near as intricate as the larger kits. I did have to get it off eBay. I'm not sure if it's available domestically because of the whole licensing thing or whatever. I was made aware of its existence. I did a search, found it on eBay, got it from overseas fairly quick. And it does come with a hot dog. So there's that. And the eyes are a pearlescent white that you can kind of see into. It's just cool. It scratches that itch. Next up here is Gyrich. Again, this head came with the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 morph. And originally I had it on the MCU Matt Murdock body, which is fine, which is dandy. But then I was running around Instagram and ran across Boog's post about using the Indiana Jones Adventure Series Dr. Voller for the body. And I thought, okay, that changes it up a bit. I just like the brown. It gives them an old school feel. The green tie, the white under... Well, if you do this, it does look a bit skinny. But everywhere that it counts, visually, it goes toe-to-toe with a Marvel Legends figure. Line up the feet, it's the same height. And actually, it adds a slight amount of bulk to it, both in the legs and the torso, as long as the coat's closed. I'm not actually sure if this is accurate to any one appearance. I'm pretty sure the gray is probably more government agent-like, a liaison, or that guy that just comes in to mess with the superheroes or whatever. But There's something scummy about this suit. I don't know. It just feels like, I'm in here just to cause trouble, but not too much, just poking bears. Plus my original custom was on the gray suit. So now I can have one with the Avengers and one with X-Factor or X-Men on the mutant shelf somewhere. I have no problem rocking 2 Gyrichs. Why did I just get a flash of Barney Miller or that era of suit? Well, I guess this is a throwback suit because Indiana Jones is in the past. Am I thinking about this too much? Do I even need to do it? Here's a simple swap that should have been simple, but wasn't as simple as I thought it was going to be. Hasbro, you gotta ease up on the glue under the hair. Now I get it, I really, really do, but man, you're making things a pain in the ass for people like me. You know, customizers, people who just want to change things around. This is the fairly new Target exclusive Mystique with the updated double pinless elbows, double pinless knees, much more stable than the original, stands beautifully. The hair on the figure was actually from the Walgreens exclusive, and now that I look at it close up in the camera, I didn't realize that faded from lighter to darker. I may have to look at that later. I thought, well, okay, cool. What's going on back here? Wait a second. What the hell? That has the animated series cel-shaded Mystique's hair. And so does that picture. So what I ended up doing was getting the cel-shaded Mystique just for the hairpiece. I know. Overcomplicated, unnecessary, but dang it. I had it in my head. It had to be manifested in plastic form. This is how that looks. And really, I think it's worth it. I like it. This is adequate. It really is. It's female hair. It's red. It's coming down over. But man, this feels more Mystique-y. This is the hairpiece that came off of it, and it doesn't have that same fade. But it does have more wash than the animated look. So I may come back and put some thin black paint in here, try to get that detail to pop. But it's the shape I was after. Kind of that smoother look, kind of unnatural, but natural. Trying to get the damn hairpiece off, I did rip it right here, but I was able to glue it down together, so it's fairly invisible at normal distance. That's how I ended up with 3 Mystiques, 2 of which I'm not going to use. Well, I guess this one's okay. It's got the pins in the knees, and it does wobble some. The single hinge and swivel elbows. It doesn't look bad, but you can see a definite difference. The new one's whites are a little whiter, and I do like the blue more. It's more Nightcrawler-ish, I guess. I bet it'd look even better with a shot of Mr. Hobby, Mr. Super Clear Matte. Not a sponsor, which doesn't matter. I was never out for that. I do go through this stuff like it's going out of style. I love a nice matte figure. Matte. Recently, I swapped parts between the Punishers from the Bushwhacker 2-pack and the Gamerverse Nick Fury 2-pack, and this is what I ended up with as far as the black and white Frank Castle went. Ooh, just white and black. I think I am eventually going to come back and change the skull a bit, change the eyes. But for the moment, this is my Punisher. But remember I said I was going to finish the blue and black Punisher to complete that animated series look. This is what I came up with there. I had to mix the paint to try to match the blues from the suit up to the bandana, and it's close, but not quite close enough. It bugs me a little, but not enough for me to go back and repaint it yet again. I already did this twice. There's a difference between wet paint and dry paint. Just a couple of shades. I put it on wet and I thought, dang, I did a pretty good job of matching that color. Went through the intricacies. I didn't take the hair off or anything. I painted it on the head. So I avoided the hair, got it around, and then when it dried, it's slightly off. But you know what? I'm fine with that. I really, really am. I am. Shut up. I got the single strap holster from Flint. And I can't remember if I painted it or not. It may have not been like... I may have thrown some paint on it just to make it match the rest of it, because I also painted the eyes and the nose on the skull. The original had blue showing through. In the cartoon, it's black, so that's what I did. Plus, it helps it stand out a little bit more. I like the blue and black way more than I thought I would when this combination came up, but ooh, I think that seals the deal. The icing on the cape was the gray trench coat from GPS Lot on eBay. I've gotten several things from that seller over the years, so I was completely confident in ordering this. This wasn't high on my priority list. This was more of a, hey, shits and giggles, I'm gonna finish it. But you know what? There's nothing stopping me from enjoying this now. This is as far as I'm gonna go. This is it. I don't even have an animated series shelf. I just wanted to see what this Punisher would look like completed, and I accomplished that goal, I feel. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Next up, a more intricate custom. Here is Outback Madelyne Pryor. Yes, the ongoing Outback project, where I'm seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel. I'm knocking characters off the list. I've got some parts coming that may help in that endeavor, but there's always something to be unhappy about. Or not unhappy, not quite happy with. Is that unhappy if you're not quite happy? Either way, I've been piecing this Madelyne together for a while, and what it broke down to is some G.I. Joe Classified CoverGirl and Lady J parts for the upper torso, and then a Halo jumper legs, which you wouldn't think would work, and I'm not quite sure it does, but the more I look, the more I think, well, okay, yeah, some baggy pants, that's not bad. It does leave me with this, but it seems like I can find a use for these other parts too. Plus, I got several from Ollie's for, I can't even remember the price, $11, $12. So, yeah, I had much less hesitation tearing it apart at that price. As far as heads go, I was going to use this at first, where I could just plop it on there, but the more I looked, the more I talked myself out of it, because it's hard to see anything but Mary Jane. Although I'm not quite sure this came with Mary Jane. Was this a different, was this used somewhere else? But to me, it's Mary Jane. And once I get that mental image in my head, I can't shake it. No matter what body I put it on, unless I do a complete repaint or change things up for some reason. I can't just go, boop, hey, that's Madelyne. No, it's not. That's Mary Jane. Then I ordered a head from Carnage 717 on eBay and painted it up and thought, okay, here's my Madelyne head. But as much as I like this, I realized I can't use it for Madelyne because I like to torture myself, apparently, but I have reasons. And they mostly have to do with the X Factor Jean. She has a look, you know, it's Jean, and Madelyne was a clone of Jean. So when I put these two side by side, I thought, well, the features aren't the same, and the head size is different, and the hair's not quite, and this, and that, and So I talked myself out of this one too. I will use this somewhere, because I went through the trouble of painting the eyes and everything. So maybe I can change the hair to brown. Maybe it'll be a different character altogether. Someday. Then I started seeing people use the Excalibur Rachel Summers Phoenix head under that X Factor Jean hair. And the size is pretty much the same. The features don't match exactly, but there is a resemblance. That's what I went with, because they're going to be pretty close in the display. My Outback and my X Factor are pretty close because that's the same era. Even better, the proportions match up between the two. It looks like the same feet, just in boots. The heights are very similar. The shoulders, well, okay, just barely off. But that's not bad for mixing two completely different toy lines. Shoulder width, maybe not other parts, but it's pretty dang close. I just realized I have the neck painted to match this head. Oh, not the head, this head. So I may need to come back and touch it up to match the head. And the green may be a little bright on the jumpsuit. It's not exactly what we saw in the comics. It was usually more closed, and her sleeves were rolled up a lot of the time. But for now, I have a Madelyne Pryor on my Outback shelf. I'm gonna work through, try to make some other characters, and then come back around if I need to. Or maybe she'll be on there forever until we get an official Outback era Madelyne Pryor. Go ahead, Hasbro. Make my day. Sticking with that certain era of X-Men and moving to things that people have sent, here is a custom cape for my Outback Storm from Harker Customs. Oh man, look at that. That is just too good. It's got the split in the back. It comes down to points. It's got wires running essentially everywhere that there's gold. He did the same elastic band rig that Hasbro did. So all you got to do is slip the old one off down the arms, slip this one on, and it's so much better. If you need a side-by-side comparison, here is this one. It's a manta ray. I had it folded in and stuck behind this big old hair, but that can only go so far. This you can have whipping out in a pose or whatever you want to do. Plus, there's no weight to it. So even with the added high heels I did, not a problem standing. Actually, I did those after the last time I showed this figure. These are Punk Storm's feet. I think I'd used the Scarlet Witch feet or much taller heels, much thinner, and it wasn't as stable, and it made her too tall in the shelf. This one shortened her down just slightly and gave her more foot to stand on. Then I painted a match. Punk Storm's feet were black, so I had to mix a color, and there I got kind of close. I showed the head in a previous playday, but this is from XV Customs, and the cool thing about it, you would think this being a print would be super heavy up on top of this body, but it's actually hollow. There is no weight to this whatsoever. And I love how you can make the cape just drape naturally. Her standing, ready for action. Unlike the original cape, again, there was no drape. It just stuck out. It just did whatever it wants to. Get out of here. That is my Outback Storm. Like I said, ongoing project. I have, it's Psylocke. I'm just tell you now, I have some progress. I'm not going to show it quite yet because I'm still fiddling with a couple of things, but there's actually 2 Psylocks. So that's a future playday. Next up, a couple of custom capes from Dawn or Dawn Sawyer. And here's a wired cape to spruce up the Marvel Legends Gladiator. Ooh, so I can do this now, have it whipping in the wind. He's standing on an asteroid, looking all stoic, angry at the universe, just... You know, from all that wind in space. Hey man, it's comic books, and I'm playing in my brain. Don't judge me. We're coming in for that final punch. Whammy! Simply majestic. Dawn was also the one that helped me finish off my golden pink Warlord Xavier, so why not give the blue and silver version the same treatment? The plastic cape is pinned inside the collar piece, so it's easy enough to just tear it out with a little heat, and then glue this down over the cloth cape. And really all I did was glue under the front amulet, which allows for all the movement. The cape's not actually attached. If I wanted to, I can still pry it out from under, but why would I want to? Just leave it there. It looks like it did in the comics, and did I just do the same pose that I did for Gladiator on an asteroid, wind flapping the cape? Go ahead, do it. I know you want to. Comment it. Do it. And it's hard to decide which one to use on the shelf. Again, I'm going to have to maybe split them up or put them on opposite sides of the same shelf. They're both accurate to certain appearances. Man, life's difficult sometimes, isn't it? I've been eyeballing the IBMMT comic book Agatha Harkness head for a good long while now, and I finally caught it in stock on eBay. Hello! Yeah, sure, she wasn't on any of my wanted lists, but sometimes, you know, you're scrolling and you're going, huh, that's a good-looking head. And we now have a body that works under it. Might as well. Because this is just the Marvel Legends MCU Agatha Harkness body with the purple shawl scarf thing removed. Maybe this isn't from the comics, but the style fits. This extra paintwork, the amulet, the whatever that's called, the brooch, fits. It works. The color scheme, yeah. And it doesn't hurt that Benty kicked ass with this sculpt and paint. The dry brushing in the hair, the purple eyeshadow. I could still get her into some magic wielding poses. Well, I don't know if she should have the dirty fingers, but it still works. Well, except for the sleeve hanging down. Yeah, you just stand on the shelf, Agatha. I don't know. Once I put the head on this body, I thought, look at that. Someone I never figured I'd have in my collection. It's one of those things. Agatha? Whatever. Besides the Outback project, I also have a Marauders project going on. And I do mean going on. Going on. I got a bunch of heads from XV Customs because I had them all available. And I thought, oh, one fell swoop. But it's not so easy to source bodies and come up with parts and pieces and paint jobs. And so working on it slowly. But now I can add a Harpoon to that display. This is just a 2-pack Nighthawk body. I ended up with an extra somehow, and at first I thought, well, I can remove the paint work on it, and the base body will be the right color, so I won't have to paint Harpoon's costume. That didn't work out because it wasn't quite the right color, and didn't seem... I had to come back with the skin tone anyway. Lots of asymmetrical sleeves in the Marauders. Like I mentioned, the head is from XV Customs on eBay, and it's Harpoon. It's that hairstyle. The strap and the Harpoon holder is from the Marvel Select Hawkeye. It had these rectangles on it. I thought that's close enough. It's a barrel to hold the harpoons that I made out of just wooden dowel with points on them, and then pieces of plastic cut and embedded in it. It ain't pretty. I'm not completely happy with it yet, but I figure someday I'll get into 3D printing, and that'll be one of the first things I do. You know, a stick with a blade on it. The belt's also pretty rough. It's just foam. I cut a strip, cut these little designs out of it, glued it to the front, painted it gray. Not the most exciting of costumes, but it's a member of a team that is near and dear. So I'm working my way through it one at a time. And I guess the not the most exciting part is why I got done with it earlier than the others, because it was just the bluish color for the costume, the skin tone, the eyes, the head, and then coming up with harpoons. It's fairly simple. Actually, I lied. I was originally going to use one of Gambit's staffs for the harpoons here, but it had the lines in it, and there was no point on the end. Kind of dull. So I just cut that in half, used that as the shorter ones inside the holder, and then made this one that he can hold. Here's the Marauders I have finished so far, and there's a few in the works. We'll get to that in works in progress. Remember how I said I like to scroll eBay and just find random things that tickle my fancy? Well, that's what happened with Reaper, because I needed to start another team. Well, okay, Hasbro actually started that team with Strife and Zero, so I thought, might as well, right? I'll work on the Marauders, I'll work on the Outback, and then kind of sprinkle these in between. The head and the scythe came already painted from Ruskin Customs. And when I saw it, I thought, well, okay, that's an easy skin tone to match, and I just happened to have a Marvel Legends black Tom Cassidy sitting on the table without any boots. I stole those for my custom Damon Hellstrom a while back. But that wasn't enough to push me into starting another team full of characters that I wasn't as familiar with, until I realized that my old Marvel Legends Taskmaster had been replaced with the newer 3-pack version. So that left me with some white gloves and some white boots. And hell, that's 9/10 of this recipe right off the bat. All I had to do was remove Black Tom's logo on his chest, and that was it. Oh wait, the sash. That became kind of a challenge because at that point I thought, well, I'm mostly dodging paint on this one. I can still move the arms and the limbs and everything because it's all factory. The only thing I had to paint is the exposed neck to match the head. I wanted to find a sash that was already red, so again to eBay, I found a loose exclusive Warbird. This is her sash that I had to heat up a lot, push it up over the legs, and it was super tight. But when I got it to here, I heated it up again, and it shrunk back down to size. So it worked out way better than I thought. Get a little dynamic motion with the sash ends hanging down and flipping around the legs, and I got Reaper. It's not very often I get to move a custom around after I finish. Most of the time it's a full body paint, and I don't do any of the sanding or prep work to be able to move it after paint. If I did that, I would never finish anything. I do, and I think I've said this before, I do proof of concept customs. The parts, the pieces come together to make characters that I want on the shelf. And hey, if it gives somebody else some ideas to do that, then more power to them. But I'm just happy to have those characters on my shelf. That's where I'm at. I thought about doing the one with the mechanical parts where he lost limbs later in life, but there's nothing wrong with this. See, didn't get painted down in there, but he'll stand on the shelf like this, and I'll never see that again. And then finally, as far as finished customs goes, here is a fixer kit from Slow Ship Customs. And to be honest, this is a project 25 years in the making, if not longer. I made this character out of an Art Asylum Enterprise Archer from about the time Marvel Legends started with Toy Biz, early 2000s. There was a custom con going on for the Masters of Evil, and Fixer was on my list because of Thunderbolts, and I had to do it. It's not great, but at the time, this whole customizing thing was new. Well, it wasn't so much new as it was, look at all these people out on this internet thing that likes doing the same thing I do. That's weird. Let's all do it together. So to have this in my hands now, oh, so much joy, so much happiness. Slow Ship sculpted and printed the head, the torso overlay, the belt with the pouch on the side, and then the gun. And this all came about because of the color of jumpsuit Xavier's clothing. When I first got this, I thought, wait a second, that green is kind of familiar. It's useful for other characters. I took paint remover to the X's on the shoulders, and then I painted the boots, and you can see what I did here. We could have done an overlay for the glove, but with it rolled up like this, I thought, well, I'll just paint up to here. It'll be a skin-tight glove with some jumpsuit bunched up above it. And yeah, I think it sells it good enough. At least good enough for my liking. I've had this done for a little bit, so I cannot remember the color I used right out of the pot for this green to match the Xavier green, but it may not be exact, but it's far enough away from the body to be close enough for me. Because I also had to paint the neck and then come in with the blue, the skin tone, the black around the eyes. He usually has pupils, but sometimes he doesn't, and I went for that more kind of menacing look. But I'm not writing off the eyes altogether. I may come back and do that. And it was essentially just pull it apart, slip the body over, and then the belt is open here. But once I get it on and it's standing on the shelf, it works for what it needs to do. Be the fixer. I just realized, oh, I started Outback. I started the Marauders. I started the Mutant Liberation Front. And I guess I'm starting Masters of Evil. I enjoy hopping around. If I stay on one subject for too long, I get kind of frustrated. I get kind of bored. I get kind of, oh, well, this is just dragging on and on. I'll jump over here. That's 4 groups so far with a bunch of individuals. I'll get to it eventually. I thought about going into an excuse jig, but that's not an excuse. That's just how I customize. That's how I enjoy doing this thing. Just leaping back and forth. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, I went walking back over to the desk to set this down and found this laying there. So this Citadel War Boss green looks pretty dang close. That may be what I used. Maybe. Don't quote me on that if you go buy it and then that thing, but it's going to give you a good head start. For works in progress, this may seem odd, but I've seen several recipes use the Dungeons & Dragons Bobby with the Marvel Legends leader head to make Brainchild. Because I needed to start the Savage Land Mutates, apparently. Well, actually, that started in a previous playdate when I got this. And I thought, well, that's going to be amphibious on my shelf, at least for now, until a better recipe comes along. So I can put these guys together and see what happens. That's going to require some skin tone and some headgear, maybe some straps, something to overlay the body. But I think that's a good start. Back to the Marauders front, Prism is the next furthest along. All I need to do here is to add little tints of color in places. Some pinks, some blues, some yellows. I mean, I could probably put them on the shelf like this, but I need some reflection. I need some pop to it. And no, I didn't shave off the AOA Iceman extra bits. I figured with this sticking up like this, maybe he could use some extra facets in places just to spruce things up. Or maybe I'm lazy in that aspect, but I wanted to use this body because of the angular musculature, and that just comes along with it. I think it'll tie together better once I get some color to it. And then there's this, which is a rough start. It's very, very early. This idea pretty much snowballed after I got the Mandarin and Iron Man 2-pack. These hands, oh, the rings are so good. And sure, I could use it on the body it came with, which is essentially just a tux body, or this body that a lot of people have used with the long-haired Mandarin head. And I thought, okay, yeah, that gets Mandarin on the shelf. It's a bit more comic booky, but it's okay. I just love Acts of Vengeance Mandarin, so that's what I'm going after, even though I don't think this body's going to work. I essentially was just going after these shoulder pads, but it's different arms, it's banded legs, different boots, blades in places. I'm just going off the hands and this head. I got this from Carnage 717 along with the Madelyne head that I showed earlier, so it was a package deal. It just happened to work in my favor. It'd be nice to use this body because of the colors, which is probably another thing that attracted me to it, but again, swapping out the blues and silvers would probably go. I don't know what's happening here, but it's a good start. It gets the brain a-churning. It gets me thinking about what parts I need to swap in, swap out, change out. I'll probably end up with a completely different body, but that's okay. This gives me an idea of whether it'll work or not, and I think this will work. So there we go. At the end of the day, any day you get to play is a pretty damn good day. I know it still bugs me that I say day way too many times in that, but it works. It fits. It's a good day. As you can probably tell, I get a pile of work and progress is going, and sometimes I get overwhelmed to the point where it's like, what am I going to do? What was I doing here? I had a plan. Where's the parts? Where's the paint? And sometimes I need to step back, clean the desk off, line them up, and go, okay, you're first, you're second. That usually doesn't last for very long, but it's a plan, it's progress, it's stepping forward a little bit. But once I start actually finishing things, that seems to be the trigger for, okay, I finished this. Let's finish this, let's finish this, let's finish this, and so on, until they build up again. It's a back and forth. It's a roller coaster ride, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That's how I do it. So if you're the same way and you get frustrated, just know it comes back around. Don't worry about it. In fact, what I like to do sometimes is just drop everything and go to the hobby store, look at tools, look at materials, look at possible fodder things, scroll eBay, which actually adds to the load. But hey, breaking it up in your brain is sometimes the way to do it. Just focus on that and then come back around to the customizing. In fact, there was years that I didn't customize and then came back around. I would probably be a better painter if I'd stuck with it through those years. Like, okay, I'm going to work on eyes now. I'm going to work on makeup. I'm going to work on lips, because eyebrows and lips are now my worst nightmare. And I try to avoid it, but sometimes it's unavoidable. So you just got to buckle down and do it. But that's just me being my old, usual positive self. I apologize. Just play. Just take some time out of your day and play. That's what it comes down to. I guarantee it won't hurt you, unless you're doing it in the middle of work or when you should be doing something else. Don't play then. Set aside some time to play at appropriate moments. Or maybe you just need to run out of work and buy you an action figure. Rip it open in the parking lot. And then come back and go, I'm sorry, boss. It had to be done. Either way, links are in the description if you want to see any of these parts and pieces or artists closer up, and do what you got to do. Bye. Spider-Ham has slowly started to push Agatha and Madelyne forward, and I'm just now noticing, hey, stop that. Take some pictures later. Okay, for real this time. Bye.